my couples get a slideshow like this, and I always try and sort of approach it from a cinematography point of view, in terms of having a title that's on display at the start, and these kind of opening sequences are always, the opening images are always kind of setting the scene and just kind of the introduction to the film. Really, I want it to be a film for my couples about their day and who they are. So always open with a few kind of scene setting shots and a title screen at the beginning. Also, and some wave sound effects for this one. One important thing I think to know about sort of putting these slideshows together, in terms of the approach of the images, is that they're not necessarily in chronological order. So they're not always shown in the order that it was shot, but when I put them together afterwards, I'm going to rearrange and move things around in order to get the kind of the story told that I want. Obviously with this wedding, it helps that the bride, the groom and all their awesome guests are incredibly buff. I fit in pretty well, obviously. Again, this is an example of just me including something that I like there, that image, whereas this one of the mum is very much for the couple. So these slideshows, they're really for the couple first and foremost. So I'm trying to kind of capture for them their day, as opposed to, let's say, if I was going to blog this wedding, I wouldn't show a lot of these images because they're not maybe the sort of things that I want to put out. But this is really for my couples first and foremost. Couple of sort of tricks here is that I'm always looking for, obviously we've just been with the girls, and now just using a couple of kind of breaker images, just kind of to switch things up, because now we're moving over to the guys. So just kind of ways to make the story flow and things. So now we come over to the guys, just putting a couple of images in there to split the story up a little bit so it doesn't jar too much. So these guys are really like outgoing and fun-loving and stuff, but Alex the groom here was super nervous in the morning before the wedding, and really wanted to try and capture a few images that showed that. Even though it was really chaotic and mad, like you could still see until he got his suit on, he was super nervous and super quiet. So always looking for those kind of things to tell that story, like how did it feel for him, and looking for shots that can show that. Whereas now, obviously, the things are perking up a bit, because once he got his suit on, he was a lot more chilled out and up for it. So again, just capturing that. And again, another little breaker shot here, because we're probably going to go somewhere else. Yes, and now the ceremony is about to start. Always putting those images in to split things up. And back with the girls again. And again with the slideshow, it's just a kind of mix of artistic shots and then just some simple, stuff that the couple are going to love, that's maybe less clever, but just simple, more accessible for those guys. They can remember what it was like to be there on the day. I'm just trying to capture the emotions and the characters too. So I think it's super important when we're, not only when we're shooting, but also when we're putting these stories together, that we really leave our photographers' egos at the door. It's so easy to fall into the trap of just trying to put together the same story every single time. It's like the same predictable, the same shots that everyone gets, the same kind of images, everything being the same. And I think it's really important to dig that bit deeper and look for the kind of stories and the little things that sit outside the usual wedding images and the usual wedding photography. So really just paying attention to who people are at the wedding and if they're important. And if they're important, how do we show them? How do we include them more? Obviously as well with the music choice, I'm kind of lining that up to fit the mood of the wedding. So, thinking about that. Is it crazy and wild? We'll choose some crazy wild music. Is it mellow? Is it, we'll making that choice appropriately. And again, like the ceremony's finished, so we've got some breaker images in here just to move into the next bit. Again, it's not all chronological. And again, this image is a classic example of one that wouldn't make the blog, but is perfect for these guys. This is your classic crazy quick Mediterranean sunset where the sun disappears in 5 seconds. So we had about 2 minutes worth of time to get some quick portraits.
Rolling my sweet baby's arms, rolling my sweet baby's arms. My heart's broken into forgive or forget you. Rolling my sweet baby's arms, rolling my sweet baby's arms.
It's obviously it's speeches now in the evening. Again, another point. Again, not all these are completely chronological as to how they were shot. Stuff like this is not necessarily when it was shown in the time frame. But obviously, I'm putting them together. So he's doing his speech. Here's some people reacting. Now he's doing his. The groom is doing his speech here. And again, like, this isn't necessarily shot straight after that, but it's put in sequence to show that. Shot like this, like when there's always looking for what I call slideshow gold. I'm always trying to mine for slideshow gold. If there's nothing happening within the wedding, or if it's a quiet bit, what I'm looking for are just small little shots that I can use to put into the slideshow to kind of tell the story. Those breaker images or things like that. So little images that might work in the slideshow, or that might help set the scene, or or be used in that way. And again, so this is the end of the first dance, and then we head off to party. So change the music up and move it to party time. And again, so this party ended up being pretty crazy and really kicked off. So obviously, this music choice is to represent that, And obviously that goes back to the shooting at the time as well. So it's like we've said, how does it feel to be there, and what's the party feel like, and then how can we show that in our photography, and then how can we present that in our slideshow. So I've switched up the sequences, I've switched up the transitions as well, so they're just straight transitions now without any fading between each image, just because it gives it a bit more urgency. And again, just getting like the dance floor's kicking off, so just get stuck in and get the photos. Quick cameo, Obviously, when things start to get a bit crazy as well, like I'll often move to kind of a drag shutter stuff, just because you can emphasise kind of how crazy it was and how wild it was, just with the motion and everything. Generally, I tend to stay away from it for the most part, though. And again, they're not necessarily all the exact order they were shot, but I'll always stay to the end. That's the last shot of them leaving, and this is a shot from a couple of days before, and then end sequence there. So yeah, that's pretty much just it. So I've taken that kind of cinema approach to putting the story together and arranging and sequencing the images.